Hey YouTube, it's Dimitri, and today we're going to taste decaf coffees. So all of these coffees I purchased at my local Kroger, so nothing high-end, nothing fancy, basically just your most generic grocery store coffee. I've started drinking decaf because of caffeine sensitivity and the vast amounts of caffeine in coffee I typically drink. But we're going to go in here and try these decaf ones. I'm going to give you my tasting profile. I'm not fancy, schmancy, I don't know, like a coffee snob or anything like that. So all of these were made with a Bialetti 3-cup coffee maker. I prefer, so I'll give you my preferences up front so you can see where my biases are going to lie. I prefer a heavier mouthfeel in my mouth, so I need that heavy feel. To get that, a lot of times I actually brew everything in a Bialetti. Yes, I know coffee snobs. If you make it in a Bialetti, it overcooks the coffee, and so therefore you don't get the same notes and the perfection and all that. But I don't really care. I like the taste of it. I brew almost everything I have in there. I do use a French press occasionally. I will do cold brew occasionally, but in general, that's how I brew the coffee. So all of these coffee are going to be ground in the bag, so I'm not going to be changing the variable of how fine or how coarse they're ground. I'm going to leave that to the manufacturers. Again, finding decaf coffee was super hard. So I went through the aisles and there's like a whole wall of coffee, and they kind of like hide it and nestle it in here and there. There's not a lot of good selection. And yes, you can buy premium coffees online for $15, $20, $30 for a 12-ounce bag here, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to dive in and do a cheap coffee test. As you saw at the beginning, I drink all of my coffee with milk. I drink probably about 60% coffee to 40% milk. Again, brewing in a Bialetti makes it a bit stronger, so I like the flavor, the thick, bold coffee taste. But again, we did all these consistently, same amount of sugar, same amount of milk. But anyways, let's just dive on into this taste testing. Okay, so we're going to start the taste testing with this Peet's coffee. So Peet's coffee, dark roast decaf. It's called the Decaf House Blend. It says lively, sweet, and familiar Latin blend. That doesn't mean anything to me. So we're going to use a spoon and stir each cup before we taste. And I'll give you my opinion on these, and then I'll try to rank them perhaps. And no, I'm not going to do the pretentious spoon thing. So for those of you that don't know, you slurp it out of a spoon, you get more air with it, so you get a different profile of the flavors, and it's easier to taste it. But I'm an average coffee person, and most of you are going to be drinking coffee like an average person out of a mug. So let's give it a whirl. Oh, okay. A little different. Okay, this is a really bitter cup. So again, it's sweet because I have sugar added into it, and I have milk to make it creamier. But it has a very like bitter kind of hit to it. So I think the cup has a more robust flavor right at the beginning. So you get a little bit of the bitterness, so probably like what you would consider, I guess, a caramel flavor. I would consider it quite a bitter taste, more like a bitter caramel. But again, it's kind of sweet and it's robust. It tastes okay at the beginning, but the aftertaste for me, it's pretty bitter. So again, if you like a more dark roasted cup, you're going to probably prefer this. I will mention too, I drink coffee all along the spectrum and light coffee all along the spectrum. So from light roast all the way to dark, as well as different tasting profiles. But that one's kind of like, I don't know, it just seems like a single note coffee. I don't feel like there's a lot of, I don't know, complexity to it. It just seems kind of like a generic coffee. Again, I'm not going to talk about prices too much, but Peet's is the most expensive here. It's all grocery store coffee, so it's all pretty cheap. But we'll just rinse this and try the next one. Okay, so this is the Gevalia Cafe, the house blend. It says it is a medium roast. Of course, it's decaf. Let's just give this a shot. That's a lot better. So, hold on. So for me, this has a very warm, chocolatey taste. The coffee itself is kind of a more balanced. It's sweet. There's some hint of acidity, so I'm actually feeling and tasting the acidity in my mouth. I can, taste that acidity. It has, again, more of like that chocolatey, a little bit of a fruityish note. But again, you can tell. So the Peet's example, it was really, really, really dark. Just how they roasted it. Nothing against it, but this one, again, is definitely more towards the medium side. You're getting some good lighter notes of the acidity, kind of a little bit of the fruitiness. But again, you're getting that sweet, kind of robust, chocolatey feel, like a real, genuine chocolate, not like a burnt taste or an ash taste. Kind of even has like a maple taste to it, like a little bit of a maple in the background. This is actually a really enjoyable cup, so I really like this one so far. Let's keep on going and see what we get. All right, I'm going to split up these Starbucks ones just in case they're too much similar. This is, let's see. This is the Decaf Pike's Place since 71. Yeah, so it says medium roast on this bag as well. Let's give this a stir. Not bad. So it has somewhat of like a woody taste. But again, it's still fairly sweet. The coffee actually has a good sweet flavor to it. It's kind of woody. It has kind of like a, again, like a, I was going to say like a woody, but it has like a light caramel taste to it. So again, you're still getting some of the benefits of like a darker roast, that caramel, more of the bitter undertones of it. But again, it's much more well balanced. Again, the Gevalia is definitely more acidic. This is like, I would say this is almost like a perfectly balanced cup in the sense of you're not going to get too much acidity. You're not going to get too much kind of bitterness on the other end of that spectrum. Again, it's a nice cup. It's nothing fancy, but again, it hits the I guess the right notes for me. It has more of a well-balanced feel. And I'll also note here, so this one had a heavier feel to Pete's. The Gevalia also is a little bit heavier. Nothing too heavy though. This one has actually a light mouth feel. So even though we're brewing this in a Bialetti, has a nice light mouth feel, a little bit woody, a little bit kind of like a light roasted caramel, again with a lot of sweetness into the cup. So I think this is actually a pretty good coffee as well. We'll see how this all pans out at the end here. But all right, now let's taste the community coffee. It's called Cafe Special Decaf, smooth flavor blend without the caffeine. Okay, it says medium dark roast. Let's give this a whirl and see. Okay, so this cup has a very nutty flavor. That's hitting me right at the front here. Again, more of like a woody taste with it as well. It's more kind of an earthy cup. So again, the keynotes in this one, I'm going to say it's more like a hazelnut kind of nutty flavor. It does have kind of a more woody taste, I would say, to it. It's a light body, and it's still fairly sweet. I don't know. I think the nuttiness of it, though, this is the key characteristic for this coffee. Is a fairly nutty one. Again, no acidity in this cup. Hardly no acidity in this cup. It's very, very bitter. Nice acidity in this cup for a decaf, and this one's well balanced with hardly any acidity at all. So I don't know. This one's okay. We'll see. All right, and then finally here, this is the Starbucks Decaf House Blend. I don't know. It doesn't say. Doesn't really say too much on the roast of it. Let's give it a whirl here. Okay, so that one's really bitter as well. Again, it kind of has like a caramely, nutty taste to this coffee. I would say a little bit woody. So maybe a woody caramel, kind of like a toffee flavor, I guess, of coffee. A little bit of caramel in the back there, but again, it's fairly bitter, so definitely a darker roast. The mouth feels pretty light on this one as well. It's okay. It's not my favorite. How I would probably rate these, though, I mean, so I don't really know. So I'm going to just give you my perspective here. I think the Pete's in the house for the Starbucks one are comparable with maybe the Starbucks, I think, slightly outweighing the Pete's. Let me just give it a shot and see, though. It has kind of a warm mouth feel to it, too. It's kind of like a, I don't know, a little bit of acidity, I guess, in that cup. Okay, I think these are going to be clear winners here. Okay, so Starbucks House Blend, I put at the very back. Pete's is going to be in front of that. The community one, I don't know what to say about it. Like, I guess it ties with the Pete's. it's like a well-balanced coffee, but for me, it just tastes too generic-y. Like, there's nothing super exciting about the cup, right? There's no, I don't know, surprising. Like, you're not getting some acidity on one end of it, and you're like, oh, wow, this is a really unique acidity, maybe some fruity blend to it. Again, most of these are going to be darker, medium roast. You're going to get more of that caramel, nutty, chocolate kind of roast. You're not going to get as much fruity kind of brightness in the cup. If you're looking for a good all-around coffee, just something to drink daily, the community, I think, would be a good one. So I'll put it, I guess, slightly in front of this Pete's coffee. And I feel bad I'm ranking it this way because it's probably going to come out with the darkest roast at the back and the lightest at the front. But again, I just don't see a lot of flavor in this. I really like the pipes, and I really like the Gevalia coffee. So let's just try to flavor these real quick and see where I put them at. Okay, so I think I know how I'm going to rank this real quick. I'm going to put Pike's Place in first and Gevalia in second. So the ranking of these is going to be, first place is going to go to the Pike's Place. So this actually shocks me, to be honest with you. I've had Pike's Place before at Starbucks. Comes in the white paper cup. It's steaming hot. I've added my milk. I've added my sugar. I just think it tastes like cardboard, to be quite honest with you. A lot of the coffee at Starbucks, I think, is actually fairly stale, which is one of the reasons for this. I don't know. I just don't like it. But here, when you make it in a Bialetti pot, you get a more rich, robust flavor. You're getting more of the flavor profiles as well inside of the cup. I'm actually shocked that this is the number one pick. So Pike's Place is number one. Second is going to be Gevalia. I like it. I enjoy it. I think it's a different flavor for me. So even on the back here, it says like refreshing citrus-like finish to the cup, medium-bodied roast. Like we said here, it has that acidity. It has that little bit of kind of like a zing to it, a little bit of fruitiness. Again, it's still getting, though, for me, a little bit heavier feel in the mouth. So I do like this one. It's actually a pretty good one. I put the Gevalia ground coffee cafe house blend in second. Third is going to be the community cafe special decaf, and it is medium dark roast. Again, it's okay. If you're looking for an average cup of coffee, that's probably where you're at. It's super cheap if I remember right. I'll put all the prices up here as well for what I paid, what the store lists them at. But it's an okay coffee. If you're gonna, again, this comes down to preference here. This isn't like ultimate ranking or anything, but if you like that darker roast, that bitter kind of flavor into the cup, these are going to be the ones that you're going to like better and best. I used to drink a lot of bitter coffees, but I've kind of deviated out. The Pete's coffee, I definitely think here, which is going to be the dark roast decaf house blend compared to the Starbucks decaf house blend. I think the Pete's is actually better than the Starbucks. Again, I don't know. I just feel like this one's just the Starbucks, house blend is just a little too dark for me, a little too over roasted, so the profile's a little bit too long. I just didn't taste anything special in the cup. Again, the Pete's is pretty bitter as well. It's kind of like a hit to your face. Like, I don't know. I wasn't expecting as dark of a roast or I guess as much of a bitterness to the cup. But again, I would put them kind of in this ranking 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If you wanted to categorize them though, so if you're a dark coffee drinker, like I said, dark roast, I'd put these side by side. Again, I'd put Pete's, try Pete's beforehand, the decaf. I think community is kind of in its own category of just like, I don't know, well balanced. And I think I would actually put this one. So Pike's Place and community would be together. These are just the most well-balanced cups, and then the Gevalia was really the only one that had some nice acidity and kind of different flavor profile to it out of the bunch here. But give them a try. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and as always, until next time.